Hi, I'm Joe and welcome to the channel and welcome to another Inspired By video. That piece of music that you just heard was inspired by an old hymn, and I tried to make it sound a little bit more like a contemporary Christian song. These Inspired By videos are where I take a piece of music and then I break down all the guitar parts for you in hopes that you can incorporate those ideas and things that make up that style into your own playing. Let's grab a guitar and break this one down. So one of the big takeaways from this genre of music is to really think about your guitar part more as a texture piece or as an accent piece to certain parts in the arrangement. You'll notice that this song is very busy. There's a lot of things happening as far as synths go and things of that nature. So the guitar really doesn't need to stand out too much, but it does add texture, especially for the first guitar part. And the second guitar part, like I mentioned, adds a little bit of these orchestrational punches to emphasize certain chord changes within the song. So that's one thing to think about when you're playing this style of music. The other thing to look at is your sound. You'll notice what's happening here is I'm using the bridge pickup, but I have it split. And I'm also using a blend, the second position, with the middle pickup as well. So I'm basically having this more of a thinner, cleaner sound. And I have a compressor on to try to keep all those notes as even as possible. There's a slight overdrive on. Nothing too heavy. And there's a little bit of a delay, but that's really getting washed in the star of the show, which is the reverb. The reverb, as you can hear, has a very long tail and a modulation. There's a little bit of a shimmer effect happening. So hopefully you can hear that with this camera, but there's a little bit of a shimmer happening at the end of that reverb. And that's basically all the sound is. So let's take a look at guitar part 1. A little bit of a fancy stretch thing happening here as the first chord. And this is something that it almost looks like something that you would see in the old guitar magazines where everyone would show off their cool little fingerings for their cover photos on the front of the magazines. So for this first guitar part, all that's really happening, even though it's a fancy fingering, is they're just power chords stacked on top of each other. The song is in A flat, which is every guitarist's favorite key to play in, right? But if you look at this power chord, that's the root and the fifth. I'm moving that up an octave, root and fifth. And this octave, picking up here, the root and the fifth. But to get that to kind of all ring out, I did this fingering. Just so, again, I can let that textured piece, that part, just ring out across the beginning of the song to kind of give it a little bit of a unique intro. And then as the song progresses, we're going to go to an E flat. And now I'm using more of a traditional triad. You see this shape? You're probably familiar with this. This is a bar shape here, playing an E flat chord. And all I'm worried about though is the top half, starting on the G string. So I'm playing G, B flat, and E flat. And then the chord's going to move down to D flat, so I'm going to use the same shape though, just these top 3 strings. And when it goes back to the A flat, instead of doing that full shape, I'm just going to pick up this. So I'm going to start with the E flat first, then the A flat, and another E flat on top. And that's all it is. It's just a very simple part, just to kick off the song, add a little bit of texture pieces as the song progresses. And then we get to guitar part 2. Now guitar part 2, as I mentioned before, really is just there to accent certain chord changes that are happening. You'll notice that the song picks up, there's a little bit of a riser happening with a reverse cymbal, and then we come in on a big fat power chord. Just an A flat chord. And we're going to hang out there a little bit, and then we're going to emphasize the chord changes. Same thing, we're going to emphasize the chord changes. And then back to the A flat. So all that's happening here again is I'm just playing an A flat first. And then I'm going to go to a B flat minor. To the A flat, to the E flat. And then I'm going to go to an F minor. E flat, D flat, back to the A flat, E flat, D flat, back to the the A flat, and then the E flat to the A flat. And this guitar part is just double tracked. And what you can do is if you only have one guitar, what I tried to do is for the first one, I did actually leave it split to give it a little bit of a thinner sound. And then for the second guitar that's doubled, I actually just engaged this humbucker and did it so it's a little bit of thicker sound. I'm not sure how well, again, this camera mic's going to pick it up, but what I was trying to do there is, if you're doubling your guitar parts, it's nice to use the same guitar, but it's also nice to try to use a different guitar if you can, or just a little bit of slightly different EQ. So what's happening is, the guitar parts on the left and right, although they're playing the same part, they fit a little bit differently in the frequency range of the song, just simply by just changing your pickup selection sometimes, or you can roll your tone off, or you can do a different setting on your overdrive pedal. Or you can even just, again, use a totally separate, different type of guitar to get a little bit of a different EQ thing happening for those guitar parts. And that's all that's happening for this second guitar part and the last guitar part for the song. So the main takeaways are, think about how your guitar lines can really support the arrangement of the song or emphasize certain chords in a song just to bring those parts to life a little bit. Or, as well as, think about how you can have guitar parts that add just a little bit of texture or a nice bed for the overall music to sit on top of. Well, that's another Inspired by video down. I hope you found value in it, and if you did, would you do me a favor? I'm really trying to grow the channel. Would you help me out by subscribing down below or hitting the like button? Again, these things help me out, and I'm always so grateful for your support. As always, I wish you a fantastic day.